Welcome to part 2 video of Jaggi's advice on food becoming poison during lunar eclipse. Just like most other scenarios, in this video also, he never going to answer the question. He's just going to go on and on and on to disparage science and scientists. Yet, he called his fake ideology, fake belief, fake rituals as yogic science. If science is something worth only ridicule, why do you use the word science in your yogic science? The reason you use science in your fake ideology, fake ritual, is to get the acceptance and legitimacy of science, to gain legitimacy for your fake practice, fake ideology. Otherwise, you would not call yogic science. You would have called yogic something else. So this video is not going to be any different than the original one. Let's see if he even tries.
Sadhguru, you may not be aware of this, but in the last few days after the eclipse, there have been a lot of people on social media referring to your observation that food becomes unfit for consumption during eclipse. And they're saying they had food and they did not die.
Are they disappointed?
Yes, they are disappointed that so many people, even people in IITs, worshipping you, a con man, a charlatan. Or maybe they are disappointed that some of the dumbest people are also in IITs. I discussed about this con man advice of not eating food during lunar eclipse before, because he claims that food turns into poison during lunar eclipse in that video. You can watch my other video here. Hello, welcome back up there. Today we're gonna listen to Mr. Jaggi Vasudev Sadhguru, confused with my hand gesture and all this. So I explained the science behind lunar eclipse and also the microbiology stuff. And if you're interested, you may want to go and take a look at those and continue this video. If not, you can just keep watching on this one. So no worries anyway. So in that video, I went on to explain how and when lunar eclipse occurs, why lunar eclipse has nothing to do with microbiology and food. So that's good to watch.
So they're even calling you superstitious and unscientific. So just wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
Let's understand what is superstition. Superstition is without any perception or knowledge about a certain subject, you make conclusions. That's superstition.
That is not superstition, Jaggi. The definition of superstition is, it is a belief or a practice based on a false conception of a cause due to ignorance, fear of something unknown, trust in authority, magic, or mere chance. You can make conclusion without knowledge, such as an aircraft can carry people without any knowledge of how the aircraft flies. Yet your conclusion may be correct. That is not superstition. Superstition is a belief or a practice based on false conception of a cause. Invisible magic carpet makes aircraft fly, and every time before you fly, you offer coconut, a lemon to appease the magic carpet. That is superstition, Jaggi. Arrival of a comet into our solar system is an omen of death, destruction, disaster, and message from God. That belief is superstition, Jaggi. Vedic rituals that lemon can magically prevent a traffic accident and keep you and your vehicle safe is superstition, Jaggi.
Now, the nature of life is like this. Depends how sensitive you are. Accordingly, that profound is your perception and experience of life.
So the word profound means it describes the state of mind as a great or intense or showing having great knowledge and insight. The word profound is an adjective. Profound is not used as noun normally. Granted, you are insinuating profound as knowledge here. What that even means here? What he has just said. Profound knowledge and insight is your perception and experience of life. Depends on how sensitive you are, and this is the nature of life. Let me repeat what he said and see if it makes any iota of sense. Profound knowledge and insight is your perception and experience of life. Depends on how sensitive you are, and this is the nature of life. What sensitive means? Where and how the sensitive come from? And who judges and determines who has the sensitivity or not? You, Jaggi? What if I am super sensitive, then you are, Jaggi? Let me repeat one more time. The meaningless, vague, nebulous sentence you spitted out. Profound knowledge and insight is your perception and experience of life. Depends on how sensitive you are, and this is the nature of life. Let me push all the boundaries and try to make a sense of nonsense he said. Let me suppose that he is saying that the true knowledge is nothing but your own personal perception and experience of life. And that's how it is. It is the nature of life. Anything other than your personal perception and experience is in life is not true knowledge. Is it? In philosophy, this is called solipsism. In epistemology, solipsism is a knowledge of anything outside one's own mind does not exist. External world and other minds cannot be known and may not exist outside the mind. In reality, that solipsism is an outdated and false idea of knowledge.
This will not come through intellectual accumulation. Those who read a high school textbook, if they think they are scientists, what can I say?
So the question is, can you address the comments that your claim that food turning into poison during lunar eclipse is a superstition? He is mocking that anyone who criticizes his absurd claim that food turns into poison during lunar eclipse are not scientists and only read high school textbook. What that even means? In college, graduate degree textbooks, does it say whatever we taught you in the high school textbook are wrong? Now you are here in college. Here we teach you that food turns into poison during lunar eclipse in our college textbook? Or is he disparaging anyone dare to question his absurdity as not true scientist and have no scientific knowledge, but anyone who believes him, worship him, only have the true knowledge? Or is he claiming that after high school, everything you will learn will be yogic science, Vedic science, mystic science, Vedic Puranas, Vedic mythologies, no more science anymore? Did he even try to address the question thus far? So far he gave wrong definition of the word superstition. Then he went on to explain that true knowledge only exists in your subjective view and your subjective experience of the world around you. Then he mocked that everyone has only high school level knowledge. Does this come anywhere close to why your claim that food turns into poison during lunar eclipse is not superstition, Jaggi? I don't think so.
Because a genuine scientist, a scientist who has probed into any aspect of life, with certain profoundness, will not speak like this.
So, who are you talking about, Jaggi? Are you addressing the young man who asked you to address comments that your claim food turns into poison during lunar eclipse is a superstition, or are you talking about the scientist? Thus far, your response is superstition is someone who makes conclusion with a lack of knowledge. True knowledge is only from personal experience. Scientists only read high school textbooks. And true scientists will not speak like this. Are you upset at anyone who criticized your false claim that food turns into poison during lunar eclipse? Or you are just mad at that young man who forced you to address your absurd claim, Jaggi? You just really didn't like he asked you that question, did you, Jaggi?
Now, as a yogi, as far as possible, I will never consume anything which is cooked, which is more than an hour and a half old.
You heard that right? He said, I will never consume which is cooked more than an hour and a half old. So he does not know what cooking means, neither what happens to food during cooking, and he does not have any fundamental knowledge in microbiology, but he disparaged scientists as having only high school textbook knowledge. Ironically, he does not even have the high school textbook knowledge. Sad.
Why we are serving the food the way we are serving in the ashram is hoping that all of you will graduate from being yoga practitioners to yogis. Not just bending and twisting, you are beginning to feel the union in the existence. If this has to happen, body has to be sensitive and it has to have a minimum level of inertia.
Oh my goodness. Now another word, inertia. So, body has to be sensitive. What that means? Whatever you wanted it to be. Body has to feel the union in the existence. What that means? Whatever you wanted it to be, body has to have a minimum level of inertia. Whatever that means. Whatever you wanted it to be, obviously. Let me teach you some basic about food, Jaggi. Basics about fundamental biology. Yeah, high school biology that you college English literature major graduate never heard of, then turned into fake yogic science con man called Jaggi Sadhguru. All life on earth are carbon-based life made of hydrocarbon molecules. All life has same 4 DNA nucleotide bases from which the cells make proteins from the amino acids, sugar molecules, and lipids or fats. All life makes food only from two forms. It takes food from other life by breaking the hydrocarbon molecules, and from which it makes their own hydrocarbon molecules. This is called metabolism. You understand, Conman Jaggi? The other life form uses energy from sun, chemicals, and heat to collect hydrocarbons and minerals and make their own food, Jaggi. We call them plants and chemosynthetic microbes, Jaggi. So, humans, their food comes from other existing life forms because we are not plants and microbes, Jaggi. Some foods from plants like sugar molecules can be easily break down by our digestive system, which we can eat directly without cooked, such as sugarcane, fruits, and nuts. Jaggi. Proteins are more complex molecules than simple sugar molecules, which our digestive system cannot easily break it down. That is why we cook food. Cooking food means just to use heat, a thermal energy, to break the complex tertiary 3D structure protein and lipid or fat structure molecules into simple molecules, Jaggi. So our digestive system can easily absorb those amino acids and nucleotides, Jaggi. You got it?
Now, if you eat food which in some way has deteriorated, it may not be rotten, nor is it going to kill you, you can eat it. It is just that.
It is just that. Really? Now, why would food putrify? By the way, food does not deteriorate. It's putrify, means food going bad. The microbes such as bacteria and fungi in the air, in the table, in the kitchen, given time, will get into your food over time. If given more time, it will multiply exponentially or grow over time, Jaggi. Your body can easily kill off just a minute number of microbes without adverse condition to your stomach and body. But if you give more time, the microbes in the food will multiply exponentially. So if you eat food after some time, it putrefy. All that means the microbes multiplied exponentially. For bad bacteria to consume your food and multiply, it needs oxygen, environment, water, and warm temperature. If you take away any one of these, the bacteria will not be able to multiply or grow. That's why you put your food in fridge where it is cold temperature and the bacteria will not be able to grow or multiply. In dry food, you remove all the water out and you put small packet of oxygen absorber in your food which absorbs all the oxygen. Now, without water and oxygen, the bacteria cannot grow and multiply, Jaggi. So, there's always going to be microbes if you eat within an hour and a half or longer. The only difference which matters is how much microbes is in your food. How many microbes is in your food. So, cooking means you are breaking food structures so your digestive system can digest easily. In your normal food, it has a lot of water in it and at normal room temperature. But sweets are mostly sugar. Alcohol, wine, beer are made from fermentation of food like wheat, rice, barley by bacteria. Your beer and wine are nothing but all ethyl alcohol and sugar. These bacteria are not harmful to your stomach and body. So, these are all food cooked hours, days, months, even years ago, which you can eat, Jaggi. The cake you eat, the cookies you eat, the biscuits you eat, the papadam you eat, the snacks you eat, the juice you drink, the wine you drink, the spicy mixture you eat. Everything cooked more than an hour and a half ago, Jaggi.
It will lower your perception. In my experience of life, for me, lowered perception is death, at least death of the yogi. The man may live, the yogi is dead because he's lost his perception. He's lost his sensitivity. So, the death of sensitivity, if it doesn't matter to you, there's really no problem. You can eat what you want, you can eat garbage and still survive. Well, people are eating food that was cooked a week ago, 10 days ago, 3 months ago. They're keeping it in their refrigerators and eating. After eating it, they don't know what's the difference. To such people, what can you say? But for
But bad food causes you disease, diarrhea, vomiting, and so, but how does it lower your perception? So what is perception? Perception is the ability to see, hear, or become aware of something through the senses. It is a way of understanding or interpreting something, a mental impression. So if you eat food 2 hours later, how any of these going to happen? Does it happens to anyone? All the food you eat in restaurants are mostly 2 hours old. How does that lower your perception? Or maybe you never had a perception to begin with, Jaggi. So here, Jaggi is claiming that if you eat food preserved in fridge after a week, you don't know what's the difference. He is claiming that you have lost your perception. He is claiming you cannot differentiate between right and wrong. You cannot differentiate between normal and abnormal. You cannot differentiate between moral and immoral. You cannot differentiate between good and bad. You cannot differentiate between up and down. You cannot differentiate between colors. Animals and plants, dogs and cats, horse and cows, even man and woman, water and air. So, when you wake up in the morning and drink tea, coffee with sugar, eat those cereals, you will not have perception because those sugars and cereals were cooked a long time ago. Then you won't know who is your father, who is your mother, who is your wife, who is your husband, who is your son, who is your daughter, who you will lose all the perceptions. Now, kept adding words totally out of context, irrelevant to the question asked, which he has not answered yet. Words like sensitivity, perception, union, existence, inertia. So far the words he used has no relevance whatsoever for the question why food turns into poison during lunar eclipse.
sure, they cannot have the sensitivity that I'm talking about. And I'm sure they're sleeping 8 to 10 hours a day. That is death for me. 10 hours of sleep, nearly 40% death, isn't it, in 24 hours. So, if you wish to live like that, you can eat whatever you want. What is the problem? You can eat anything you want.
You don't have sensitivity anymore? What that means? For healthy humans, 8 hours of sleep is a must. You don't need 8 hours, 10 hours, but 8 hours of sleep is very healthy habit. You hear that he is marking 8 to 10 hours of sleep as 40% death, as if that's not good for human beings, as if it's not healthy for human beings, right? I want you to keep that in mind because in few minutes he's going to totally contradict that. Just wait and watch.
Well, I am not a scientist either, and I don't wish to be one. I don't have either books to read, nor am I researching anything, nor am I looking through a microscope, nor do I have a lab in my backyard. I just pay attention to this human mechanism, which is me. I kept it well, takes a lot of work. Takes a lot of work to keep this well. Doesn't just come. So I keep it in a certain way, and at anything that happens in nature, I observe what's happening with me, and I'm speaking that. I am also observing the life around me for confirmation. Every insect, worm, bird, animal, tree is saying the same thing.
Really? Oh goodness, don't you say, you are not a scientist. What happened to your yogic science? What happened to your yogic scientist? You don't wish to be a scientist, Jaggi? Are you sure? It is easier than high school textbook, Jaggi. That easy. So, you don't read books, you don't learn from the knowledge of others who think and do research, and you don't do research, you don't have a lab. All you do is just pay attention to your body. Does that mean everyone does throw out the entire existence of humanity past few million years? All humanity does the same thing. Just pay attention to their body. Even animals pay attention to their body. Why do we need you? Huh, that's weird, isn't it? So, how food turns into poison during lunar eclipse? Well, I pay attention to my body. I observe insects, birds, animals, worms, and tree. Okay, but how food turns into poison during lunar eclipse? You still want answer? Let me distract you to something else.
Well, if you are going to discover this after many years and a few $1 billion of research, it's up to you. Well, I want to tell you, till recently…
So, what did you observe and discover in your body? In birds, animals, worms, insects that only others discovered by spending billions of dollars many years after? What is your discovery, Jaggi? Still you haven't not answered the question, how food turns into poison during lunar eclipse. Are you going to try? Let's see.
These so-called scientists, the real science is different. A scientist who's looked at something with profoundness will not speak this way. These are probably internet scientists, you know. They know every science, not just one. Everything they know because they are on the internet. So such people were saying, I'm saying something so simple.
So, people on the social media asking you a question, how does food turn into poison during lunar eclipse? So far, you said, 1. You gave wrong definition for the superstition. 2. True knowledge comes from only personal experience. Anything not personal experience is not true knowledge. 3. The scientists only know and read high school textbook. 4. You claimed you never consume food that is cooked more than an hour and a half volt. 5. Anyone who eat food which is cooked more than an hour and a half don't have perception, sensitivity, inertia. 6. Anyone who eat food which is cooked more than an hour and a half, sleeps 8 hours, that is like death to you, waste of life to you. Anyone who question you or only pretend to know everything, they are just internet scientists. Does this answer the question, or he is just rambling gibberish and mocking and buying time to spout more irrelevant gibberish? What would you do if you do not know the answer, if you don't have the answer, and you are not honest enough, humble enough to say you don't know? Exactly, this is what you would do, Jaggi. This is what you would do, and you are doing it.
They were advocating that alcohol, tobacco, red meat are the best things for your life, till recently. Now suddenly they've all become activists against that, because somewhere somebody said after $1 billion research, we've been saying it forever. What is a recent discovery for you has been an eternal wisdom for us.
Now, he is inventing a straw man that scientists were advocating alcohol, tobacco, red meat as they are the best things for your life. But which scientific research said that? And what basis you are making this accusation and against who, Jaggi? Do you know your impeccable word of wisdom, the Rig Veda, the wisdom of all Vedas came from, tells you that Soma drink is the immortality drink. Go and read Soma Mandala in Rig Veda, where it tells you that alcoholic drink, Soma, turns you into immortal, which the god Indra himself drank. In case if you don't know how scientific research works, the high school textbook and the internet scientists who miraculously able to fund billions of dollars who spent on those researches, who don't publish research papers based on personal experience or personal feelings or personal sensitivity or personal inertia. What kind of a biomolecules that affects metabolic pathway, what type of gene has most immune response, what causes and what stops cancerous cells. These are the kind of the question and things your high school textbook and internet scientists do research on and then publish paper, not based on your personal sensitivity, your personal inertia, whatever that means.
I'll tell you, I was in conversation with a doctor in United States of Indian origin. He was telling me that he is the first one in Western medicine to identify that the heart not only pumps blood, but it also sucks the blood back. The ventricles pump it out, the atrium sucks it back. He is the first one who wrote the papers. He sent me his videos, his TED talk, his scientific papers. I looked through it and I couldn't believe it, that till recently, till a few years ago, nobody in the medical science knew that heart sucks back the venous blood. Well, in the yogic system, the focus is on the atrium, which sucks back the blood. The Ayurveda speaks about it, Charaka Samhita speaks about it.
Wait a minute. Really? Here? He is telling you totally a made-up story and a lie. No doctor of any origin, any ethnicity would claim such a thing, and no doctor in the last few years published such a stupid research paper for the first time. I don't mean blood circulation discovery is a stupid discovery. I mean anyone who claim in the last few years that they first time discovered the blood circulation in the human body, especially about ventricles and atrium, that's stupid. It is like someone saying they discovered gravity in the past few years ago. Human body circulation and heart functions as a pump. This has been discovered and well known over 350 years now. And here he is claiming that Charaka Samhita describes blood circulation. This clearly tells Jaggi does not even know what is in Ayurveda, what is in the Charaka Samhita. Let me give you a snapshot on Samhita and why Jaggi is either lying or a stupid idiot who doesn't know what he is claiming. The two Vedic traditional medicine texts are Sushruta Samhita and Charaka Samhita. The two are foundational texts of Ayurveda, the Indian traditional medicine. The Sushruta Samhita provides details about anatomy and surgical procedure, while Charaka Samhita provides details of medicine, traditional herb and heavy metal based medicine. Compared to current knowledge of human anatomy and physiology, Sushruta Samhita is not only provides outdated details, but provide details that are not correct, such as number of bones, the system of blood flow, the causes of disease, germ theory, and so on, etc. So, it is not Charaka Samhita which talks about blood flow, but Sushruta Samhita which gives details about blood flows in human body. The people like Jaggi and other fake modern yogis and traditional Vedic medicine enthusiasts are not new. Past few centuries, people like Jaggi are trying to compare Ayurveda to modern medicine and portray Ayurveda as true medical science, and which has been discovered 2000 years ago. A man named Kaviraj Kunjanlal, who studied the so-called Western medicine in the late 1800s. He even wrote a book translating Sushruta Samhita in English and tried to portray Sushruta Samhita as if it is a science which already discovered all the modern science 2000 years ago. So this is nothing new. Plato in 360 BCE, before Common Era, theorized that the world were made of 5 basic elements: earth, air, fire, water, and universe. In Hinduism and Buddhism, all matter is composed of 5 basic elements, Panja Mahabhutas, which inherit the properties of earth, fire, wind, space, water, or Prithvi, Jala, Tejas, Vayu, Akasha. You see the similarities between Plato and the Hindu tradition? In ancient Greece, the humoral theory asserts that the human body consists of 4 humors, which represents cardinal fluids. The cardinal fluids are blood, yellow bile, black bile, and phlegm. Each humor is associated with a different organ and a season. In Hinduism, Tridosa theory is in Ayurveda originated from the theory of the 3 elements. The names of these 3 doshas, which are roughly equivalent to humor, are wind, bile, and phlegm, or you may say Vayu, Pittam, Kapam, corresponding to the 3 elements of the universe: air, fire, and water. Sounds familiar and similar? Okay, Galen is the philosopher in Greek who lived at 130 years CE or AD. The old Galenic notion is that organs receives their supply of nutrition by the process of drenching, in which blood ebbs and flows them through the large veins originating in the liver, the site at which it was thought to be manufactured a new blood to fill the needs of each outpouring. In Susruta Samhita, Sarira Sthanana, under which it talks about classification of Sira or vascular system. Sira Varnana Vibhakti Nama Sarariram. The vessels or siras sustains and nourish the organism in the same manner as streams and canals serves to keep a field or a garden moist and fruitful. From the principal or the central trunk, hundreds of small and minute vessels branch off and spread all over the body. They originate from the umbilical region and thence they spread all over the body, upwards, downwards and obliquely. So, the Greek, the Hinduism ideas about human anatomy and blood flow were similar and both were wrong. But when do we know about actual blood circulation in human body and animals? William Harvey conceived a series of ingenious experiments and measurements that demonstrated the heart's function as a pump, which, as he described in his book in 1628, which ensured that the blood in the animal body moves around in a circle continuously. Harvey's discovery solved the puzzle of pathway of blood within the body. Harvey's discovery also reintroduced the idea of the experiment. His book presented the first use of quantitative methods in medical science. If you look back at Sira Varnana, it was thought that the Vayu was inhaled constantly into the lungs, then the Vayu is transferred into the ventricle, where Vayu along with the blood spreads throughout the body. That's why in Vedic scripture, Prana Vayu is associated with life and soul. It does not describe the blood flow process. It does not describe heart as a pump. It does not describe any mechanism such as suction of atrium. Everything Jaggi said is a lie, blatant lie.
In yoga, the focus is always not on pumping the blood out, but about sucking the blood back, because we are interested that our blood is as pure as possible, because certain level of impurity in the blood means we lose perception.
Hey, here, he is talking as if he has no clue about basic fluid mechanics and human anatomy, or he might say high school textbook internet science, and of course he has no clue. Anyone who knows about pump know that in order for pump to pump the fluid, it simultaneously produces displacement and suction. So, in the yoga, it is always about sucking the blood back that somehow makes your blood pure and impurity makes loose what? What perception? First, your heart is not a filter to filter out any impurities in the blood. Anything comes from the veins or going through the heart, there is no impurity filtered in that stream. Second, there is this thing called blood-brain barrier, where your blood does not cross directly into your brain in order for you to lose whatever you call, perception.
We are not interested in terms of what is the nutrition, what is the oxygen content, how long will I live, this is not the point. How do I live, what is the quality of my life is my concern. How profound is my perception is always my concern. And this has always been the concern of this culture and this science that we are referring to as yoga. So, if you think only if it's written in a book it is true, then you're very superstitious and religious, you're nothing scientific about you.
Really? So, what is the nutrition? What is the oxygen is not your concern. That is not the point, okay. Then how do you lose your perception? By the way, are you still going to answer the question how food turns into poison during lunar eclipse, Jaggi? So, you dismiss science as something written in a book and the so-called high school textbook internet scientist knows nothing, but they are superstitious and religious. So, you have no idea what is written in those scientific books. You have no idea how this knowledge ended up in the book. You have no idea how many millions of people conducted research and experiment over how many years in science. So, if it is written in the book, then it is superstitious and religious, nothing scientific about it. Then what is Chakara Samhita? Does those Samhitas come to you over years from Vedic rishis who died 3000 years ago? So, Samhita are scientific because they were not written in book, but were written in palm leaves. Is that why? Huh.
You think night means just absence of light? Or there is a phenomenal change in the very way the life happens from day to night? You ask every insect, bird, animal, tree, even the rock, it knows night is different. If you sit here with little openness, you will know it's not just about light. If you close your eyes, even in the daytime there's no light, in the night also there's no light. But is there no difference? Every meditator knows what's the difference, isn't it? So somebody will say, this is all rubbish, there's just absence of sunlight, that's it. That's what they're saying about the eclipse. Doesn't matter.
So, night is nothing but shadow of earth. Yes, it is absence of sunlight. And past 500 million of years, all the multicellular organisms adapted to this day and light pattern, which is called circadian rhythm. Oh wait, so 8 hours of sleep is death for you, 40% of death for you. If you don't sleep 8 hours, what else you do at night? If even bird knows the night is different, then what do you think the birds are doing at night? The birds are dying 8 hours at night, 40% of death at night? And no, the rock does not know the difference. Rock only react chemically, physically, not biochemically, because rock is not alive and it matters. It does matter.
I'm telling you, during the eclipse time, don't cook food and eat, keep it and then eat, don't do that. Eat before or after, because this is life sense. This is not internet science.
So, let's start from the beginning, Jaggi. Have you answered the question? How does food turn into poison during lunar eclipse? Number 1, you gave wrong definition for the superstition. 2, you claimed true knowledge only comes from personal experience. Anything not personal experience is not true knowledge. The scientists only know and read high school textbook. You claim you never consume food that is cooked more than an hour and a half old. Number 5, anyone who eat food which is cooked more than an hour and a half does not have perception, sensitivity, inertia. Number 6, anyone who eat food which is cooked more than an hour and a half sleeps 8 hours. That is like death to whoever eats it, waste of life to them. Number 7, anyone who question you or pretend to know everything, they are just internet scientists. Number 8, you learned more than all the scientists in the world and everyone ever lived by watching insects, worms, and pay attention to your body. And number 9, you accused scientists of supporting alcohol drinking, tobacco, and red meat eating, and now they just opposing it. You made that up. And number 10, you lied that an Indian origin doctor published a research paper discovering blood circulation in human body just a few years ago. And number 11, you don't even know what is in the Chakara Samhita and Srishitra Samhita. Number 12, you made up something that yoga is about heart filtering blood impurities. Number 13, you said science is just something written in a book. 14, eclipse is not just the absence of light, something more, but you're never going to say what that something more is? The list keep growing, Jaggi. After all, still you have not answered the question, how food turns into poison during lunar eclipse. But now you are coming back to lunar eclipse finally and saying during lunar eclipse you do not cook and eat food, but you can cook and eat before and after that. Wait, you still have not answered the question. So anytime you cannot eat food more than an hour and a half old, also during lunar eclipse you never eat food, okay? But neither of those answers or explains why you cannot eat food during those times. You keep saying don't do it, don't do it. And why? But we have to accept you because you said so. That's your answer, implied answer? Oh wait a minute. You gave the answer. This is called life sense, not internet science. You gave a catchphrase, so we have to just blindly accept your answer. But this is definitely not superstitious, definitely not religious belief. Got it.
The greatest ignorance is knowing that you're not ignorant. That's the whole problem. All the internet scientists, I please request you, eat some fresh food. Keep yourself healthy, well, perceptive, not to me, to life. Eat during the eclipse if you wish. You won't die. Inertia will build up. If you don't mind the inertia, anyway, you're drinking alcohol, smoking cigarettes, doing things, maybe it won't make any difference for you. Possibly it doesn't. If you take a high-end car today and go and pump gasoline in any of the Indian gas stations, which is 87 octane, your car will stop within a few kilometers. You need to buy special gas and put it into it. Why? Because it's high performance. So if you want to be high performance, what kind of fuel goes into you, you look at it carefully. You are a junk machine. Eat whatever, drink whatever, what does it matter anyway? Live whichever way you want. There's really no problem, okay? So, if you are disappointed that you did not die by eating during the eclipse, I'm sorry, you're superstitious, and the nature of life here is such that the earth, the sun and the moon have significant impact on this life. If you are conscious of its ways, you can ride this and make your life effortless and easy. If you're not conscious, these same cycles could crush you and everything you will struggle with. And you will suffer enormous prejudice within you, because prejudice and resentment will make you suffer more than physical disease or pain or injury. Please don't stay there. Try some fresh fruits and vegetables. It could help. Whatever next eclipse comes, one eclipse you eat old food, another eclipse you eat fresh food. Experiment and see.
Wow. Wow. The greatest tragedy is that, you are an ignorant and yet you pretend to be all-known yogi who knows something called yogic science, which you claim to be the only true science. So, you're never going to answer, Jaggi, don't you? How does food turns into poison during lunar eclipse? Tell me, Jaggi. But inertia is going to build up? Whatever that means. If we question you, then we are not high-performance car, we are junk car. So, if we eat food during lunar eclipse and tell you that we are not going to die, then we are superstitious? But we are disappointed? Jaggi, is it us or you who disappointed that we are not dead eating food during lunar eclipse? So, you're never going to answer because you have no clue whatsoever. But we are superstitious, not blindly believing you. You going to end with meaningless and irrelevant word salad like your consciousness will make your life effortless, easy. If you don't accept your fake yogic science but question you, then some kind of cycles going to cross us. And we have prejudice not blindly accepting your fake ideology. So, you never come close to answering the question, but all you did was disparaging science, accused critical thinking as superstitious, and demanding we have to just blindly accept you. Otherwise, life cycles going to crush us into resentment. And this is your explanation, and this is your yogic science, and we are superstitious, and we are high school textbook scientists, and you all know yogic scientists.